prepare for their lunar morning. Scott makes his way down the ladder of the lunar module Falcon. Irwin will follow. The first task is to release the newest addition to moon exploration, the lunar buggy, Rover. Using the buggy, a far greater area can be covered. They will observe the landscape in detail, including the formation Silver Spur, 14 miles south. Scott adjusts a TV antenna on Rover, which enables a camera operator back at mission control to help record the environment. He is able to manipulate this camera via remote control. They collect rocks and other samples. They drive core tubes into the soil to collect specimens from beneath the surface. They will also take over 1,000 photographs for analysis. Before leaving, Scott performs a televised demonstration.
Well, in my left hand I have a feather. In my right hand a hammer. And I guess one of the reasons we got here today was because of a gentleman named Galileo a long time ago who made a rather significant discovery about falling objects in gravity fields. And we thought where would be a better place to confirm his findings than on the moon. And I'll drop the two of them here, and hopefully they'll hit the ground at the same time. How about that?
As the astronauts climb on board, the camera and buggy are positioned to record the liftoff phase. The crew provide their own musical accompaniment. The flight home is a good one, which includes a spacewalk by Warden to check the film and other equipment. Re-entry provides the only problem of the entire mission, a collapsed parachute. As the capsule hits the water, the Apollo project is already preparing its next voyage. The experiments and lunar samples collected by both Apollo 14 and 15 will prove invaluable. Apollo 16. Commander, John Young. Ken Mattingly, Command Module Pilot. Charles Duke, Lunar Module Pilot. April 16, 1972. Mission Control, now a mighty task force of technological know-how. Liftoff and the 3-day flight goes to plan. Despite an initial problem with the command module reaching its circular orbit, the lunar module Orion is set for the moon landing. With Young and Duke aboard, the maneuver goes well.
Contact. Stop. Move.
The next morning, John Young takes his first steps in the lunar dust. After unloading the lunar vehicle Rover from its bay, the astronauts raise the American flag. Young sets up an ultraviolet camera to provide the first astronomical observations from the moon. While setting up the Central Experimental Center, however, Young causes the single disappointment of the mission.
Charlie, what? Something happened here. What happened? I don't know. Here's a line that pulled loose.
Young has accidentally caught his foot in the heat flow wire. his mistake will not be rectified. The pair now prepare to head off in the rover. They will set a new lunar distance record covering over 22 miles.
And here we go.
They conduct a series of experiments and collect samples from the array of ridges and craters. They are constantly in awe of their surroundings.
John, you're just beautiful. That is the most beautiful sight. What's that? You're standing there on the rim of that crater.
Duke and Young continue to traverse the lunar area named Descartes. They will return home safely 11 days after liftoff. 8 months later, the final Apollo spacecraft awaits its crew. December 7th, 1972, Commander Eugene Cernan boards his craft. He will be the last astronaut to walk on the moon. Dr. Harrison Schmitt, lunar module pilot and the first geologist to set foot on another world. Ronald Evans is the command module pilot. He will remain in the command craft and carry out experiments from lunar orbit. The astronauts prepare. The crew burns out of orbit and heads for the moon. Docking with the Lunar Module Challenger is almost routine. Cernan and Schmitt enter the lunar module on December the 11th and prepare for descent. Their landing is flawless, and their positioning in the area, Taurus-Littrow, is precise. The men leave the safety of Challenger and begin their tasks.
As I step off at the surface at Taurus-Littrow, we'd like to dedicate the first steps of Apollo 17 to all those who made it possible.
As Cernan prepares rover, Schmitt carries the heavy materials required for their experiments. Scientists back at Mission Control correlate their movements as the astronauts continue to find new and interesting information for analysis. They even use their television camera to demonstrate their findings. Schmitt displays the result of a soil depth experiment.
It's obviously very cohesive because the bottom of the core is not smooth, it's very jaggedy and fragmental-like.
Then the biggest find of all. At the crater named Shorty, orange soil is found. This will prove that volcanic action has taken place on the moon. After extensive collecting and 75 hours on the surface, the crew prepares for the long journey home. Before they depart, Cernan picks up one of the samples before addressing Earth.
We'd like to share a piece of this rock with so many of the countries throughout the world. We hope that this will be a symbol of what our feelings are, what the feelings of the Apollo program are, and a symbol of mankind that we can live in peace and harmony in the future.
Cernan and Schmitt take a final look at the alien landscape and bid farewell.
Proceeded, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Right that way, Houston. Thanks for good.
It is the end of the Apollo program, but it is also the beginning of a new era of space exploration. Apollo will be a lasting legacy for future generations, paving the way for others in their journey into the unknown.